first things first here. As the saying goes, it's not what you do in life, it's how you do it. And as we sit here on the brink of a potential Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, it is clear that the failed foreign policies of the Biden administration have not only endangered the peace and stability of the world, they have also squandered the brave sacrifices required to achieve it. Now, nearly 20 years ago, on September 11th, 2001, this nation was brought to its knees by 19 madmen. They murdered 2,977 souls right here on U.S. soil in the name of al-Qaeda and radical Islamic terrorism. Now, in response to this horrific act of cowardice, Americans of all colors and creeds, we came together as one people, united behind a single objective. Never again.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
And hear from us they did. We spent $2 trillion at the sands of Afghanistan, buried over 2,400 American heroes, and beyond that, welcomed home over 20,000 wounded warriors whose lives have been forever altered. You see, we revere their sacrifices because their lives are a testament to that enduring reality that freedom isn't free. And yet it appears not only has the Biden administration failed to learn the lesson of history, they are content to ignore reality. What else are you supposed to think when the White House press secretary says the Taliban also has to make an assessment about what they want their role to be in the international community? That's a direct quote, folks. What else are we supposed to think when, in response to the potential collapse in Afghanistan to the Taliban, our president, the leader of the free world, asked them kindly to spare our embassy? So let's be very clear here. The Taliban is not a community nonprofit. They are not a civic organization. There is no role for people who drum women out of public life in a civilized international community. No role for people who treat children as chattel. No role for people who make the everyday affairs of the estimated 2 billion Muslims on this planet more treacherous by bringing death to the doors of the innocent in the name of their God. See, the Taliban doesn't get to choose their role. That role is well defined. They are terrorists. They've made their choice. And America does not ask terrorists for favors and niceties because America understands the role of a terrorist is not to be trusted. And any administration or president who does not understand this basic principle is unfit for American leadership. What we are witnessing from this administration is abhorrent. And the only explanation for why Americans are not in the streets denouncing the idiocy on display right now is that we have truly forgotten the true cost of our peaceful night of sleep. Because no one lays awake at night anymore worried about their child being forced to enter the draft. Because we stopped watching the coffins come home on our nightly evening news. And because we have Americans old enough to smoke cigarettes who weren't even alive when those Twin Towers came tumbling down. In his first and only inaugural address, President John F. Kennedy said, "We shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and success of liberty." Now, he didn't utter those words as a Democratic president. He uttered those words as an American one, because that is a virtue and a belief that practically every American used to recognize. What is the virtue of winning a war if we do not secure an enduring peace? What is the value of bringing home our troops today if their brothers and sisters in arms have to return tomorrow to a terrain that is less safe and face an adversary that is more heavily armed? What is the virtue in surrendering Afghanistan to an organization with a different name but the same terrorist ambitions as the people we went to fight there in the first place? So yes, We did need to leave Afghanistan. It is ultimately their cross to bear. But this Biden administration needs to figure out how to leave with dignity and grace or stand aside. Because we've already seen one president stand atop the rubble at ground zero. And a second scene of such horrific proportions on U.S. soil is not the kind of deja vu we can afford.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.